Quack, 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 quack. No!
What is going on, everyone? I need to edit that so it fits better for an intro. I will do that in the off season. How you doing, Spaz?
Doing great. Fantastic. Excited to get this show going.
That's right. That's right. We got a lot to talk about, kind of all over the place a little bit, but we're not going to waste any time because we have a man who knows a little bit too much about football, I think. Welcome in, everyone, back onto the show. Spencer McLaughlin, Locked On Ducks and Locked On College Football. How you doing, Spencer?
Is there such a thing as knowing too much about football, though? Because you got to remember, however much you learn or know as a media member, you don't know 1/1000th of the information about football that a coach knows.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Unless you're Ryan Day.
Did you guys see the shirt that was going around in Indianapolis? It said on the front, it was an Oregon guy. It was a yellow shirt and had black print on it that clearly got made very quickly after the Michigan debacle. And it said, "I thought Ohio State was supposed to be here." And on the back,
I think I did see that.
And on the back, it said, "Extend Ryan Day."
I think I did see that now, actually, thinking about that. That's what I was saying.
Got me laughing out loud.
That's what I was telling the Ohio State people on the other show. I was just on. I was like, hey, yeah, we were looking for you in Indianapolis on Saturday night. But instead we got introduced to this weird bald-headed guy who coaches a Nittany Lion or something.
I can't believe Ohio State lost that game, man.
It's one of the worst.
I think Ryan Day threw that game so that he could get a better seating. That's just my take.
He could have thrown the title.
I see where you're coming from. If you're being serious, I'm just
and that's
telling
coming
you,
from a lot of Ohio State fans.
Ain't no way. Not a snowball's chance in hell 5 times over that Ryan Day lost to Michigan or thought it would be okay to lose that game.
Yeah, that's
Chip
why
Kelly's like, fuck it, I don't want to face Oregon again.
No, he would have at least thrown the title game. That would have made more sense.
That would have made a lot more.
That's like a death
that would have made plenty of sense. You don't lose to Michigan when you lost 3 in a row. Like 4 straight to him. Yikes. Yikes.
That is right, Mark. You don't make fun of Ohio. Don't plant a flag.
Yeah, did you see that? Dude,
yeah.
That's the softest bunch of B.
I don't
care what side of the aisle you're on. If you vote in favor of that bill, I would like you to be impeached immediately. Get out of our sport if you can't handle a flag being planted. Because the whole debate around that is, well, look at the fight start. Yeah, because flag planting has been the root cause of every fight ever. And if you take it away, there will be no fights and rivalry games. Brilliant. That's first thing. Second thing, when you see that happen, it should not invoke a response of, I want to go fight that guy, even though it clearly does for a lot of people. It should invoke a response of, I never want to let this happen again.
Exactly.
The other team should be allowed to plant their flag at your field if they come into your stadium and beat you. You know what you should do? You should stand there, you should look at it, and use that as motivation to tell yourself, I'm never letting that shit happen again.
I will say we were at least classy. We just left the rubber duck on the O.
Yeah.
In 2021,
I think the duck at Big Ten Media Days is among the best things the Oregon Athletic Department has come up with, especially now that Oregon just went undefeated and won the Big Ten in their first year in the conference. Like, that is so unbelievably hilarious.
The duck on the lake was great.
Yeah, that was that's an intro. That's an introduction right there.
Yeah, no, I saw it in your guys' intro and just thought, gosh, was that thing awesome or what? Because it's just so classic Oregon, is whether you like it or not, people are going to talk about it, and it could be for the dumbest reason. Last year it was the Bodacious posters to get Bo's Heisman campaign kickstarted. This year it's the duck in Indianapolis. But no matter what, you're going to be thinking and talking about Oregon, and that's exactly the point. Even for people who are like, this is just a dumb stunt. All right.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. It's on your mind. You're
Doesn't look
thinking
too
about
dumb.
it.
Doesn't look too dumb now.
No, it does not. Because what are you gonna? What's the Big Ten gonna do? Even if Oregon doesn't win the national championship, oh well, you brag with that duck and whatnot. You didn't even win the whole thing. Like I don't know, won this conference,
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, we should put the pack back together and actually get competition. No,
gosh.
Shout out to Danny Cannell too about that flag planting thing on the show earlier. He was
What
like,
did he say?
he was like, a felony, 6 months. Why not just say you get the death penalty then? He's like, why not just go over the top?
Yeah.
You know, you plant a flag.
Like
you get
if
the
you're
death
gonna go
penalty.
overboard, like how is it a felony?
I don't
Yeah.
hurt
I don't
feelings.
even think you'd have. Far be it from me to be a lawyer. There have got to be free speech protections in there at some point, unless they would put it under the account of like inciting violence, which is against the law, of course. But I don't think planting a flag is inherently inciting violence any more than any other form of speech is inciting violence. There's no direct call for it. It's just like
That's a far stretch. Yeah.
that is a stretch and a half. A felony for planting a flag. Who wins? Who wins in that scenario? Some kid plants a flag that's 19 years old, and you say, yeah, you're going to go to jail now for several years. Guy gets into prison. What are you in for? I put a flag at Ohio State's midfield.
In all fairness, it was only a 5th-degree felony. I think it was 6 months, but still, yeah.
Yeah,
You're going to have a
still.
felony on your record.
So you're in county jail. What are you here for? Planting a flag?
Which Ohio State booster got in the ear of whichever congressperson introduced that bill? That's what I'd like to know. Because how else does that come about, man?
What was his name?
Yeah.
Chris Johnson, I think his name was. Representative Chris Johnson. I think that's what his name was. They blasted it on the other show earlier.
Probably a former Ohio State alum who never lost to
Who knows?
Michigan.
Yeah, it's
Probably.
ridiculous. Then again, real quick on some different talk. What do you think, Spencer? Bill Belichick, North Carolina?
Dude, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? How does it make any sense? Did you guys know that in his entire life, he's like 72. He has never, not one single solitary time in his career, coached in college football. He's never
his
been
dad
an
did.
assistant.
His dad did, but not him.
His dad literally coached at North Carolina before World War II. So it's a little bit different now. He has never been a GA. He has never been an assistant. He has never been an advisor. He's never been anything in college football. He's been an NFL guy his entire life. And you're telling me that he's going to walk into college football and just figure it out at a time when Nick Saban, who knows the sport better than anyone, who's better at coaching in the sport than anybody else, you're telling me when he wasn't able to say, I still think this is a great place to be, Bill Belichick's going to thrive? Yeah, all right.
They are paying him. I think it was $10 million a year.
No, $10 million for 3 years.
Was it $10 million for 3 years? Okay.
Yes.
I
No, I
misheard
think it was
that.
$10 million
that
per
part.
year for
10
3 years.
Yeah, $10 million a year for 3 years.
Yeah, so 3 years. No, I think it's a 5-year contract. In the first 3 years, he gets $30 million.
Okay, maybe that was
As
the
if that guy
confusion
needs
around it.
like that guy doesn't need any money. He can find houses for. I'm not going to make that comment. Never mind. I think you know
I
where
did
was
say
going.
they're like, why would he go back to college? I'm like, well, apparently his girlfriend is aging out at 24, so he's gotta go find someone younger.
I didn't say it.
There's all kinds of memes about him rolling up at Chapel Hill and rolling his shirt down.
Oh gosh, can you imagine him? Can you imagine when he plays Clemson, him and Dabo on the field, having to look at each other? Oh,
No, actually, I can't imagine that. Here's what
That
I
would be-
struggle with. Bill Belichick is going to try and beat Wake Forest. Like, doesn't that just feel beneath him? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
well, his son
If you
is.
want to be a
the-
head coach again in the NFL and you get fired as a head coach, why can't you do it the old-fashioned way? You go be a defensive coordinator somewhere. How many places would hire Bill Belichick as their defensive coordinator? 32?
Yeah.
Probably 31. Take the Patriots out. The Jets wouldn't do it because they're incompetent. So 30. I don't know if the Browns would go for that either because they're incompetent. 29. So 29 NFL teams would readily give him a look to be your defensive coordinator. But instead he decides, no, let me go ruin this college football program in Chapel Hill real quick. And then the
hand it
NFL
off to
will be
his
ready
son.
for me.
Yeah, then I'll hand it off to my kid to
Yeah,
further
it's
destroy.
just the whole thing. I like Dan Lanning better.
Yeah, it'll either work or it'll be a glorious disaster.
I'm
One or
going
the
with
other.
the second one.
Yeah, we'll
And
see.
I'll
We're
take
gonna
Washington
find
down
out.
another peg for Dan Lanning because I'll steal their defensive coordinator after 1 year.
They could get a good defensive coordinator though. Jed Fish is good.
So I've been avoiding saying this whole year, but I know we talked before, and we were like, "Hey, this is one of those years." Does this year just feel kind of different? Not just because of the playoff, the Big Ten, but think of the accomplishments Oregon's done. Beat Ohio State, finally beat Boise State in glorious fashion. I mean, barely, but did it.
Atticus Sappington legend, miss an extra point so that you can kick a game-winning field goal. Big brain. Galaxy brain play.
Yeah.
How many
Guy's
Oregon
been
kickers
solid,
have
by
been
the way.
kicking the uprights?
Guys, absolute nails. Might have beaten Washington, Seattle if he was Oregon's kicker last year. So, not hating on him. Just that dichotomy is hilarious. To your question though, is it different? Not than the other years where Oregon's been to a national championship. I think in my lifetime, there have been a lot of seasons where I felt, hey, this Oregon team could really win the whole thing. And they didn't always appear in the national championship game in those seasons. Last year, I felt that way. And by the way, they could have. They played the national runners-up to a pair of 3-point losses. Like, yeah, they were good enough to be in that position. They just didn't play well enough on those particular days in a couple of key moments. So, last year, I felt that way. I did not feel that way in 2019. In 2019, if Oregon had beaten Arizona State and gone to the playoff, I think LSU waxes the Ducks into oblivion. I don't think that game would have been remotely close.
Yeah, that was the Joe Burrow game, huh?
That was Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like that was the team. And Oregon's certainly hoping to be that team where everyone looks and says, "Hey, we got to play Oregon." I just can't beat them. And I think what's different about this year compared to a 2023, a 2014, a 2012, or a 2010 is there's no team in college football, and I watch a lot of it, obviously. There's no team in college football that if Oregon plays well, they're just not good enough to beat. 2 years ago, they could have played well. They could have played better against Georgia. They still wouldn't have beaten them. You play that game 10 times over, Georgia's winning it 10 times. They just in 2022. But in 2024, Oregon and Georgia played 10 times. I'm not so sure Oregon isn't winning 6 of them. Now, that doesn't mean one of those 4 doesn't pop up if they were to meet in the national championship game. And now Carson Beck might be out, so the Georgia threat might not be very real. But I think there have been a lot of great chances, and you can make the argument that this is the best one for Oregon. I think the 12-team playoff makes it tougher. I mean, literally, you have to play more games. Now, Oregon's got the right mindset of that for sure, where it's, hey, anybody, anytime, any place, we don't care, give us an opportunity. It's not going to be like they're saying all the right things. But if we are honest about the situation from afar, if we still had the 14 playoff or we still had the BCS, Oregon would have better odds, both in the betting market and just realistically, to win the national championship. They would, because you wouldn't have to play as many games, and you probably wouldn't have teams who have struggled like Ohio State in a Michigan game. You wouldn't have them still alive. And I've gotten questions on my show before about this week about Ohio State and Tennessee. Like, well, who would you rather play? Is Ohio State really that good? Here's how I look at Ohio State. Their ceiling is the same. The guys that were making plays in Eugene on October 12th, they're still there. Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, still there. Will Howard, still there. Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Ibuka, Carnell Tate, still there. All the guys on defense, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Caleb Downs, all the guys, Lathan Ransom, Denzel Burke. Like, those are the best players. They're all still there. The ceiling for Ohio State is the same. What the Michigan game showed us is the floor is lower than we thought, or at least lower than it used to be. So if they play down to a certain level, because what you see in these matchups in the college football playoff and beyond all the time is not everybody comes out with their A-plus game. Oregon didn't play their A-plus game against Penn State. I mean, what do you think? That was pretty close to an A-plus from the offense. I'd like Will Stein to call a straight run on first down until the other team stops it. The RPOs that just weren't working on first down, the quick hitters, that is, gosh, that was the only frustrating thing. But again, we're splitting hairs. That's 45 points against top 5 defense in college football. So the offense was really, really good. I think you'd have to give that at least an A, if not an A+. Now, who am I kidding? That's an A+. Defensively, you play C minus, D plus game, probably D plus, quite frankly.
Yeah, probably D plus. 300 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I think it was 292, but you get the idea. Like
Splitting hairs, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad, and so that averages out to what exactly? I don't know how you average
It'd be
grades.
like a
per se.
C plus to B
Yeah,
minus.
so Oregon played what I'd say is about a C plus, maybe B minus game against Penn State. That was good enough to beat Penn State, but is a B minus game good enough to beat Ohio State? Is a B minus game good enough to beat Georgia with Carson Beck? Is a B minus game good enough to beat Tennessee? That depends. What kind of game are you coming with? So that's what's unpredictable about these matchups. Is if Oregon plays at their best, they're the best team in the country. If Oregon comes out and plays, an A minus game, no matter who they're playing, they'll win the Rose Bowl. If they come out the next day or the next game and they play an A and then they follow it up with another A minus, they're going to be national champions. But you're dealing with 18 to 22 or 27-year-old kids. So you just never always know. But that's kind of how I look at it right now. So to your original question, like, does it feel different? Yes, from the standpoint that if Oregon plays well, they will beat anyone, and there's no one that they just can't get by. But the same in that there's still an unpredictable element, and you're going to need some things to go your way.
Is there any substance to? I saw some commentary kind of online, and you don't take it to heart. And it's like, is there any justification or not justification? I guess any truth to the potential that a lot of the defense was actually sick in this game? I've heard this, and I've taken it to heart. I'm like, hey, Penn State just had a great game plan. I'm not taking anything away from Penn State in that game.
Go watch Penn State's offensive line the rest of the year. And if they were terrible in every game except that one, then I will give that notion some credibility. But I'm going to go out on a limb without watching every Penn State game and say they didn't go 11-1 with a bad offensive line. Now, I didn't think that they would play as well as they did, but sometimes you got to tip your cap.
Yeah.
The running backs are tough to tackle. Those guys are strong. Those guys are I think either one of those guys would probably start for Oregon at running back. And I love Jordan James. And Whittington was awesome. I don't think either one of them looked as good as those two running backs did. With everything that they showed in the passing game and breaking tackles in space and running through arm tackles, like those guys are really, really good. So
what was
Oregon's
with all the arm tackling on Saturday? It was like
there was just no wrapping up on the running backs because those guys got tree trunks for legs. And they're tough to bring down. They run angry too. And I heard this notion get thrown around. People were tweeting it at me. And then Nico Reed's like, "Oh, flu game." I interpreted his flu game post as it was an all-time effort, or came through when he was feeling down, not necessarily literally feeling down. Nico Reed got burned for a touchdown a couple times. There was a miscommunication with Kobe Savage on the back end when Penn State was driving to really keep their hopes alive in the game. He thinks he has hope.
And the tight end got wide open down the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, which play
last
you referring
touchdown.
To?
That last touchdown where he, like the 26-yarder where he was
wide
open.
Yeah.
Nobody within 5 yards of him. And you see Nico and
Kobe collide on the back end. Yeah. Like it wasn't, his best game overall, but then he makes a play when his best was required. So that's how I interpreted it. Cause I think this is one of those internet things that flies around. And look, I can't say there's a 0% possibility. I cannot, because I've had a cold the last couple of days as we're doing the show. So yeah, it's possible. It could be, but when I went back and watched specifically the defense and what went wrong, problem wasn't the flu. Problem is they couldn't handle motion and keep eye discipline. They could not handle tempo, and they had miscommunications. Mm-hmm. None of those three things relate to you being sick. So
you seen a lot of confusion. They were before plays were ran at the last second. They're like, trying to cover here,
felt
go
like
there, and
one in every 3 or 4 plays where Oregon wasn't set at the line because they're saying, hey, they came out here, and Penn State shifts a lot, and they use motion a lot because the analytics tell you that's the way to do it. Their offensive coordinator interviewed for the West Virginia job for a reason. I respect him not taking it because they wanted him to jump ship right away. And he said, no, I could win a national championship. I'm not doing that. So they hired Rich Rodriguez instead.
Yeah.
But he's garnering that sort of consideration because he's a really, really good and clever offensive coordinator. He's one of the most discussed coordinator hires of the offseason. He has lived up to the hype, given Penn State an 11-1 season, 11-2, and they could find themselves in the college football playoff semifinals.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to take that to heart. That's why I saw some messages about that, and I was like, it could play a role, but again, I don't want to take away from Penn State and their game plan either.
Yeah.
Because they had a great game plan. And you can look at it the same way. Oregon's defense gave up that. Penn State, for being a great defense, couldn't stop Tez Johnson to save their life.
Yeah. I mean, what a game. Did you guys know that was the first game his biological parents were seeing him in person?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That. And he wins the Big Ten championship game MVP. And of course, Bo Nix's parents were there because they're related, I think. And so I liked that particular story. But, sometimes the other thing too, 2 years ago, Georgia had that dominant defense, right? They went on to win the national championship 65-7 against TCU. They were just dominant. They were just so unbelievably good. What happened in the semifinal game? They gave up 41 points. To who? An NFL quarterback with NFL receivers. Now, there are not NFL receivers on that Penn State roster. There's an NFL tight end, and there are 2 NFL running backs. And that is, think whatever you want of Drew Aller. He will be drafted at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know when it will be. I don't know how good he will, but that is an NFL-capable quarterback. He made some insanely good plays. And so sometimes those days, they just happen. And maybe the flu contributed. I don't know. But even if it was present, that was not the primary driving factor. Lack of discipline, lack of communication, not being ready for tempo. But to the team and the coach's credit, they adjusted in the second half. Keep Penn State scoreless in the third, and then allow that late touchdown on 4th and 10, or else Penn State only has 7 points or 6 points in the second half.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's why this year it feels somewhat different, like you just said, like 2019, for instance, the Arizona State game. This year, if the offense struggles, the defense steps up. Look at Wisconsin game. When the defense is struggling, the offense decides to perform exceptionally well, or the special teams, like in Boise State. It feels like there's a different gear for certain units when one is struggling.
By the way, A+ for the special teams on Saturday night. A freaking plus. They were no fumbles, all touchbacks from Atticus Sappington on the kickoffs, no kicks out of bounds, made his only field goal. They made all their PATs, and Andrew Boyle kicked a couple of them. And both Ross James and Luke Dunn down to punt inside the 12-yard line. And once that led to an interception and an easy touchdown, and once the Oregon defense blew it, Derek Harmon with the hands to the face. But I think that is a great point to make, Ben, that the special teams have been really, really good. And sometimes you just need it to not be a weakness, which is what I felt it was on Saturday. And sometimes you need it to be a strength, like it was against Boise State, and in some ways was on Saturday as well. Absolutely impacted the game. And I agree that 2019 team didn't have that same level of three-way balance. I think this one does.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about I know we've had a few players go in, and I know we've gotten a big 25 class. Do you see any more deferments going into the portal?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there aren't. It's not a big 2025 recruiting class in numbers. It is a big recruiting class in terms of, highly rated guys that are coming in. So I'd be surprised if it's just 3 guys that transfer away from the program. And so far it's been Tyler Turner most recently, then Jackson Jones, backup edge guy, and then Shaq McCroy. I will say, if I'd pick transfer targets coming into the portal window, McCroy and Turner would not have been high on my list. Those are guys who I could have very realistically seen carving out roles for themselves in 2025. Makes me think that the staff probably has a plan. More guys will hit the portal. I bet you could see a receiver or two go in the portal just because there are so many names. They'll probably bring in a transfer wideout. I think you could see a departure from that room. Elsewhere, though, man, there's a lot of opportunity for playing time for guys that are currently on the roster next season. I mean, think about, and I'll wrap up with this, and then I got to get some work done, head to bed. But think about all of the current starters that are going to be either off to the NFL or graduate from this year's team. Offensively, T. Ferg and Patrick Herbert. That's what I consider two starters. Starter or heavy rotation guys. So let's T. Ferg, Patrick Herbert, Josh Connerly most likely, a Johnny Cornelius definitely, Marcus Harper for sure, Trayshawn Holden done, Tez Johnson done, Evan Stewart probably done. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah.
So that's 9 guys. I'm so good at math. That's 7.
Wow, we're striking it.
Oh wow, that was bad.
And you got Dylan Gabriel. You forgot Dylan Gabriel.
Oh gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about the quarterback.
Well,
Yeah.
and James might be gone too. You never know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, you don't know about the running back spot, but okay, so Dylan Gabriel. See, I just hadn't gotten to those guys yet. Dylan Gabriel and Jordan James. 9 guys. Okay, so that's offensively. Defensively, Jordan Birch, Derek Harmon's going to get drafted in the first round. I don't think we'll be able to pay him enough to come back. Jamari Caldwell. That's 3 guys from the defensive line. Jeff Bossa, Justin Jacobs, Bryce Betcher. There's 3 guys from the linebacking unit. Brandon Johnson, Nico Reed, Tyshim Johnson, Kobe Savage, Jabbar Muhammad.
And Dante Manning.
Dante Manning. That's a lot of guys. That is a lot. Spencer didn't know there would be math. I brought it upon myself. So do I think Oregon's going to have a cataclysmic drop-off after the season? No. Do I think they can put a team on the field in 2025 as good as this one? No. I think you're just going to lose too much. So the offseason is going to have a lot of interesting things to look at, but I certainly hope that Oregon wins the national championship this year. Obviously, I hope they win it every single year from now until the end of time. But I definitely hope they get it this year, because next year, is it possible? Sure. Will not be an expectation or a within reach goal as much as I feel like it is right now. At least that's where
Although after I seen the schedule today.
Yeah, you see the schedule.
Although after I seen the schedule today, it looks
and I'd expect Oregon still be in the 10-win range next year. However, you don't win a national championship by winning 10 games. You got to be better than everybody else in college football. I think that'd be asking a lot. By the way, I think the Lake Oswego public school system is rated the best in the state of Oregon for what it's worth. And I got a 5 on my AP Calc test.
Ooh.
Take that.
Ooh.
Take that.
I do agree with Spencer. I think this year it feels like the year, though, it can be done. And you know what?
It feels like a year it can be done. If it doesn't happen this year, it's not the last time that Oregon will have a national championship caliber team. It's one of the 4 or 5 best shots they've had in my life. Obviously, I'm not very old, but that's the time that Oregon's really been pushing for national championships. Obviously, there was the Joey Harrington team back in the early 2000s, but this is definitely one of the best shots. And I think Lanning's the guy to do it. So.
Yeah, I think this is by far the best coach that we've had to ever put us in that position.
Chip Kelly was really good. Like if you go back 2010, Oregon had no business staying on the field with Auburn in that game. They were completely outmatched up front. They could not run the football or block Nick Fairley. They just didn't have the guys to do it. And yet they almost won the game anyway. So let's end on that happy thought, huh?
Yeah, all right. I don't want to have to think about a game for a few weeks, you know.
Yeah, we can just sit and rest and enjoy the fact that Oregon's undefeated in the Big Ten champion.
That is right.
Yes.
Well then, Spencer, we won't keep you. You got some stuff you got to do. You can't count. So it's obviously quite late for you.
I got to go work on my math skills.
He's gonna
Nine
go
guys.
redo his math.
Oh, it might be my favorite move ever. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, Spencer.
Spencer.
Yep, no problem.
Everyone, make sure to follow Spencer, Locked On Ducks, and Locked On College Football, as well as on Twitter. Make sure to follow him. He does great stuff every day for the Ducks and for college football in general. Hey, you brought up a good point. You guys were talking to people transferring out, and of course, all the graduates leaving. And that was the only area I think Oregon missed on signing day, was they were hoping to get a couple of those tight end flips. And they got the one. We got the one, the Washington guy. I butcher his name every time. Hold on, I have to look at it.
Fluger.
Yeah, like I literally butcher his name every time unless I'm looking right at it. Yeah, Vanderplug. And that we have Sadiq, and then we have another backup tight end or two, but no one proven. So I think that's probably a transfer portal agenda this season.
Yeah, and those were I just watched the Us versus Them shortly before this finally came out tonight, and
I haven't seen it yet. I was on the other stream. Damn it.
that was not Ferguson. That was Sadiq's first 2 touchdowns of the year.
Well, the tight ends in general haven't had hardly any touchdowns this year,
other than Ferguson.
Yeah, and even that took to what, game 8?
Something like that. Yeah, he didn't have a lot this year, but that shows to me. That shows that they're building confidence in him a lot towards the end of the year, so that they can show him, look, you're our number one going forward. Flat out. You're our number one, you've earned it, and we're gonna show you how you've earned it by including you in more sets and more plays specifically designed for you, a la the hurdle.
Yeah. I with Sadiq, the thing is he doesn't do a ton of like strict blocking like a Herbert or a Ferguson. Even he's more of kind of, like we said, the gadget tight end.
He's more of the receiver tight end than the blocking tight end.
So I think that's where they want to get a senior guy who's more of a blocker. I guess is that in the transfer. I'm gonna guess. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's tight end and defensive ends. And
yes.
There is a defensive end that just hit the portal today from Missouri that's part of the 23 class that he chose Missouri over Oregon. So therefore, I'm pretty sure that it's a guy that Dan Lanning recruited, that he's going to go say, hey,
yeah, it's kept in contact with. I'm thinking like here with the H.R. Pickens stuff, it's like go after Deuce Robinson from USC. Well, apparently we're in the running for Barry Alexander too, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know that I want somebody that's flunked out of 4 high schools and 2 colleges.
And the high schools are one thing, even because that's sometimes a parent decision, but 2 colleges didn't work for playing time. So yeah, I don't know. It depends on what he wants. It depends on what he wants.
Right. And if anybody can turn a player around, it's Dan Lanning. Look what he did with Trayshawn after the Ohio State game.
Yeah. I mean, just look in general what he's done entirely with that staff. So
and with Gary Bryant and Trayshawn, I believe, were both and Stewart there was some quote unquote issues at their other schools apparently, and they came to Oregon and all of them have turned out solid. No issues.
Well, that's what I heard about as a Spencer allotted to the O-lineman, Shaq McCroy. There was some commentary somewhere around that basically there was some locker room issue with him or something like that, and that's why he decided to leave. Don't know if that's true. Wish him the best, but yeah, that sucks he left because he was a massive man. Absolutely massive man. Are you surprised though? I'm more surprised that Lanning is loading up on quarterbacks so much.
Well, that's what I didn't get. Obviously, Spencer skirted that one, so that Yeah, because
Yeah. That was going to be my next one, but then I was
That-
like,
that was mine,
he
too.
couldn't count. So I was like, okay, you
Yeah.
gotta get out of here.
So I was like, yeah, we've got like 18 quarterbacks in that room
It freaking feels like
going
it. I mean,
into next year.
damn.
Feels like,
Yeah, you have to know it's
we've
Dante
got
Moore.
about a dozen receivers, Dickie.
Well, the receivers are fine because we haven't seen a lot of development from some of them. So you know what? Load up
But we
on.
just got another butt ton of receivers coming in next year as well.
No, I know, but a couple of them are going to, also redshirt. So you're building for the future. But I mean, the quarterbacks, these are guys that are not going to sit behind people because next year is Dante Moore or Novosad most likely, and that's if Novosad doesn't even leave. Now you still have Moga, then you bring in Achilles Smith, and you flip the 4-star from Cal. I'm not going to butcher his name. I will.
Yeah,
just
the
say his
Hawaiian
initials.
kid.
JKS.
Another
I'm
Hawaiian.
not-
JKS.
I'm not going to butcher his name.
JKS, another
Yeah.
Hawaiian.
And then they already have a 26 quarterback.
No, he's not committed yet.
No, well, but it seems like probably a lock. But I mean, he's just loading up on quarterbacks for a competition, I guess. But most of these they're going to transfer after a couple of years, probably. But still, it's like, okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain.
Kudos if they stay, absolutely. Yeah, and picking stuff, I did hear that Bear was lied to about his nil and probably some other things, maybe playing time.
Playing time especially was a big one I heard.
I knew there was some issues, I believe, between him and Riley. I mean, yeah. If he was promised, you're going to play, every third snap, or 2 out of 3 snaps or whatever, and you're playing 1 out of 10. You're probably going to be a little irritated.
Yeah, it was something especially like that too. It's the playing time. I mean, hey, if he wants to come and he's full on board and they're going to stick him right there and he's going to do his thing and be a good player, hey, by all means, especially next year when we host USC, if he could get a sack or 2, that'd be awesome.
Right? Their revolving door of quarterbacks. Oh, geez. Quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. They're all jumping ship down there. What's really going on? I mean, something tells me that there's some issues down there. And unless they find a AD or a booster that's willing to pump in $50 million to them, they're probably stuck with their issues.
They just hired Jen Cohen a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah, unless she's got $50 million in her pocket to buy out
she got
Lincoln Riley, she's probably stuck with him.
Well, yeah, she got stuck with him because he was already there. I mean, it literally is like an $80 million buyout, So I don't know what's going on with USC. I mean, of course, if you ask, a certain other channel on this network, they're just going to say it's a rebuilding year, but they've been saying that for a decade. So,
Yeah. And they're having emergency podcasts every 3 days. Oh my God, look what happened today. Oh my God, another one.
I'm just happy we get to relax now.
Yeah, spoiled children can melt all winter long. They can have their daily meltdowns. I swear every day I look on either Twitter or YouTube and it's like, oh, who's on? Oh, spoiled children again. Another crisis in LA.
I want to see if I can find this. I'm so happy about this. You saw it was official, right? You did see it?
Yeah.
What?
Whatever you're going to bring up.
No, I'm not going to bring it up. I can't find that exact post. It's on my phone. It is confirmed, and I'm so happy to watch. playoff potential caliber team in Miami getting to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl, where they officially have 3 Pop-Tarts, 3 Pop-Tart mascots. It's official.
Cam Ward's going to be the 4th because he's going to stay and play.
So happy. Makes me so
Did you
happy.
hear that? Cam Ward is actually going to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Well, he did say he wanted to. I guess he wanted to finish off the season strong. Like he didn't want to be that guy or whatever. I can respect that. Way to go, Mario. Hey, Spaz, have you gotten to look at the 2025 season? I know it's not really a big deal right now, but have you gotten to see the schedule?
Yeah. We got to play Northwestern for our first Big Ten game.
Yes, we do. Yes, absolutely. Damn right we do. We have to.
Bastards, it's not at Wrigley Field. Shame on them.
I know. We get to play at the like practice field or something like that, or whatever they do. I just pulled up earlier because I didn't get a chance to look at it. Good a little warm up there with Montana. No problem. Then we have the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
No, that's the Montana State Bobcats. That's the team that the Idaho Vandals are playing Friday night. The number 8 Idaho Vandals versus the number 1 seed Montana State Bobcats.
Oh no, I know.
In the Division III quarterfinals.
It's still it's at least it's at home. It should be at least a decent warm up because that team probably gonna lose a bunch of good guys too. After the season, so you never know. We'll have to look at them deeper. But Oklahoma State, I don't see a bounce back here next year.
Dumpster fire of what's his name?
Mike Gundy.
Mike Gundy, yeah.
Who's no longer 40 by a long time.
No.
Northwestern, yeah. At Northwestern, there we go. There's a good old Big Ten classic rivalry. Oregon versus Northwestern.
Yeah.
Oregon State, and then at Penn State. That'll be fun.
And speaking of Oregon State, I heard earlier on a one of the shows that I thought we were signed through like 31 or something. Next year's the last one that we're actually signed through. Did you know that?
I thought it was 3. It was 3 to 5 years.
But apparently next year's the last one currently scheduled on the docket.
They'll get that taken care of. I mean, look how quickly they fixed this one. They'll
you would hope so.
They'll figure it out because I mean we have this year. Obviously, we have Oklahoma State. I don't know if the next year we go to Oklahoma State or if then we have Baylor and then we alternate the home and homes with them because I think then we have Baylor and stuff like that. Or next year also, I think next year we'll have the return from Texas Tech also because they swapped their schedule this year for us to get the Beavers.
Yeah,
I don't know if it got pushed back a couple years or not. I don't recall exactly. Next year we get Indiana. Oh yeah. Aren't you so excited? Rutgers.
At Rutgers. And Adam said he was flying us out. You heard him. He said he was going to fly us out for the weekend.
We will hold him to that. That is for sure. It better not be Spirit. It better not be Spirit. I swear to God.
I don't give a shit what airline it is. Hey, if Adam's paying for it, I'm in. Let's go.
Boy.
Rock and roll, baby. Let's go play the Jersey Shore.
Then we got to go to the Hawkeyes. And we host Minnesota, but we do host the Trojans. So, But we notice, again, don't have to play Michigan. Don't have to play Ohio State. So.
We only have to play Penn State next year.
Well, Penn State and, I mean, you could say Iowa. And you also have to play Indiana, depending on how they are next year. So, not a bad schedule, though. Just looking at it right now, not a bad schedule.
Bear Bryant, come on over, and we'll let you sack munch USC on the last home game of the year.
This has been a good question, too, from Mark Harris, because we were trying to ask Spencer, and, he probably hadn't thought. I mean, he's probably thought about it a bunch, but he didn't want to probably get into it too much. That's it. Who would you rather want to play? Like, just think of the first game. It's going to be Ohio State or Tennessee in the Rose Bowl. I'm not 100% sure. Spencer made good arguments in that comparison. Like, we've already played Ohio State. I haven't deep dived into Tennessee, so I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I have watched some Tennessee. I've also been in a lot of group chats with a lot of Tennessee guys this year. So, I mean, Tennessee's defense is pretty solid. Their offense can be hit and miss. But they got a phenomenal running back in Dylan Sampson. That guy has just destroyed the SEC this year on the ground. Probably the second best running back in the nation behind Ashton Gentry in what I've seen this year. I believe he finished the regular season with like 17 or 18 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards on the ground. Just a beast.
Well, and that's a fair thing. That's why I was like, I don't know, because I mean this game.
But they got a true freshman as a quarterback, so
yeah, he's kind of hit and miss. He's a slow start. He's a slow starter too.
Slow starter.
And that's it. This game was against Penn State was almost seemed more of an anomaly, especially against the run. Because I mean, look what we did to Ohio State before. We stopped them on the ground.
It was 28-10, but we could not close it out because we could not stop their run game.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thought. I don't think Clemson's going to get that far, and unfortunately, ASU I don't think will either.
However, going forward, though, if you look at you saw what hurt Oregon's defense. You saw in theory the way to confuse Oregon's defense by running a lot of motions, a lot of counters, and some trick plays, lining a tight end up under center and taking direct snaps, shit like that. We know Ohio State doesn't do that because we know Chip Kelly's offense. And we know Tennessee doesn't run a lot. From what I've seen, they don't run a lot of formations. Texas plays fairly fundamental, kind of like Will Steinish offense as well. So they're not a lot of gadgets and tricks.
But Texas doesn't. Texas, Ewers kind of situation with Manny. Kind of a weird quarterback thing going on with Texas still. ASU is the one that might throw tricks at us, Dillingham.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't see a lot of teams going forward that could give Oregon's defense the kind of problems that Penn State's did.
Well, no, because also you can't just all of a sudden, you can do maybe a few plays of it, but you can't just install that type of system and formation.
No, and Penn State fooled us also because they were also very up-tempo. They ran a lot of up-tempo offense, and our defense wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't what they prepared for. They were prepared for the smash mouth Ohio State type game, and they got a track meet, and they weren't defensively prepared for the track meet. Snap 10 seconds in, and they weren't expecting that.
Yeah, it is a good question. We're going to be looking at it more too. Like, who would we rather face off against? That's a tough one. That's a tough one between Tennessee and Ohio State, potentially, like in that first round. That's kind of a tough one.
I'd rather face Tennessee because I think it'd be an easier matchup. But I'd also like to face Ohio State to show them that what happened in Eugene wasn't a fluke, as a lot of them are calling it. I would like to rematch and beat them by 2 scores, maybe 3.
At least like 10.
Yeah, at least 10 to 14, 10 to 17.
It is interesting because when you play a team, some people always say it's hard to beat a team twice. Well, you already just watched now I know, and in all fairness, Ohio State did, as they said, retool their defense a bit, their philosophy of defense after the Oregon game because they were getting torched so badly. But Will Stein has also been retooling the offense because you're not seeing now these deep sideline shots. Now they're over the middle. He's attacking zones and stuff a lot more. So you don't know what you're going to get from him. So it's not just as easy as, we retooled the defense. You're not going to burn us anymore. It's like, ask Penn State how that went.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not, what are you, 6 hours from Dallas?
About 4.5.
Oh, shit. Put your nose in there, man. If we we get past this Rose Bowl game, the semifinal would be in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas.
Charity World.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, I mean, it's in your backyard, son. You can drive there.
Yeah, I was also lived like 30 minutes from it when the Oregon played LSU, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go there.
Because I could probably get you a hook for a ticket through the Texas guys if it comes to that.
Well, we have to see. Definitely when it comes down to that type of point.
Because that would be, I think, the 8th.
That would be 8th or 9th.
8th or 9th, something like that.
Let me see. Cotton Bowl will be the 10th.
Oh yeah, it's a Monday. Yeah, that's right.
No, it'll be Friday.
Friday
the 10th. Yeah.
Friday, yeah. Mark says if they come to Dallas, he's going.
Oh shit, son.
Mark, if you need a connection for hooks for tickets for that, let me know. I'll reach out to my Texas guys because they told me if I was able to get down there, they will they'd hook me up. So
now everyone's just like, give me a ticket.
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of Oregon season ticket holders are really upset right now. They're in their feelings tonight on X and other social media platforms because a lot of them got screwed out of Rose Bowl tickets. They went on sale at 10, and it was supposed to be some kind of a process through donors and season ticket holders, and depending on how long or how much you'd been a donor. And by noon, tickets were gone because when they opened it up to the first set of markets, they bought up all the tickets because there was no allotment hold. There wasn't, okay, you've got 3 season tickets, you can get 3 tickets. Oh, you want 30? Here, send us the money.
And now they're all in resale.
And so a lot of people are pissed off right now. Huh?
Yeah, it's like now they're all those are on resale for like double the price.
Yeah.
That's how.
Well, right now, the cheapest ticket to get into the Rose Bowl is like $350.
Jeez.
So.
Yeah. I will not be going to that. I will be sitting at home watching because then I can do a post game with you, Spaz.
Yeah,
we can do pregame and post game.
If you're in Texas, shit, we'd have a fun post game. I'd have all my Texas friends go hang out with you on the post game show and cry.
Hopefully, I mean, like hopefully. But we're going to have to see how that goes. Obviously, we got to wait to see the Tennessee Ohio State winner and then prep. The one great thing about having a bye, coaching staff gets another week to prep for both teams a little bit.
Yeah.
Not install a plan necessarily like to the players, but really prep and have a game plan ready to go.
Well, it's great because they don't really have to do anything this week. They can just kind of chillax. Because a lot of guys are this week are going to award ceremonies all over the country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And shout out Bryce Betcher for best walk on.
Won the Burlington Award this year. Yep.
Absolutely. Shout out to him. I mean, I think one, besides the fact that he's a linebacker, of course, then he's also a walk-on baseball player. So I think that really helped just put him over the top where they're like, oh, he's good in both sports? Yeah, he's the winner. Also, they've got the when does school end at Oregon? I don't recall exactly.
I think Friday.
I was like, it's got to be coming up pretty quickly.
I think Friday.
Yeah. So you also have the holiday time. So, but they got some good downtime coming up. And again, the big thing is rest and health for everyone.
Yeah, you can do lifting and whatnot. Maybe watch a little film on both teams during the week. But you don't necessarily have to really. You already kind of have a game plan with Ohio State because you already played them. Now you just want to see where they're at now. But with Tennessee, you can watch some film and, kind of go over some things. And this is what they do good. This is where we might be able to move the ball on them or get the ball away from them. And and then you still got another week where you could just kind of go through the motions and, just kind of stay healthy and stay out of trouble and have a great New Year and then get ready for Christmas week. And it's off to sunny California to prep. Imagine they'll probably head down to LA. Oh, probably the 26th.
Yeah.
Probably the day after Christmas, maybe the early morning on the 27th.
Yeah, get a few days
3 or
down
4
there.
days. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I can't wait. Never a bad day when the Ducks play in the Rose Bowl.
No.
Just to remind the LA schools of how much they suck.
Yep. Oh, darn, you didn't make it. Sucks to be you.
UCLA, you're not playing in your own stadium? What?
Yeah, right?
Anything else to cover tonight?
No, I think that about covered it.
Yeah, I think that was quite a lot. So yeah. I guess we'll come up with something to go over next week or maybe this weekend if there's any news or something.
Oh, yeah, we did have one more.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
What is it? I think of the name. I should know it by now because the Calgorithm.
The Calgorithm.
Should be boosted this week. And then plucked the very next day. They got boosted by the hiring of one Brian Hardison.
Oh yeah, that is right. That is right.
As their new offensive coordinator.
That is right.
And then the very next day, their soon-to-be senior quarterback Mendoza decided he was hitting the portal.
Oh, that's crushing. The Calgorithm's been loving Mendoza.
Yeah. So they're probably down and depressed. Oh, great. We got an offensive coordinator. Oh, fuck, our quarterback's leaving.
Yeah, I saw because I remember I saw the Hardison news and I was like, that's actually probably a good get. That was actually probably a really good get because Wilcox is not an offensive guy.
I mean, granted, Granted, Hardison's girlfriend, who's the AD of San Jose State, 200 miles down the road, couldn't get him.
Yeah, that was a good get from Cal, but yeah, Mendoza leaving. Ouch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very ouchy.
Already on the net.
Not yet,
Yeah,
Tony.
I was like, not yet. That's why I didn't want to say anything. Just I haven't been talking about the season until now because it's like that's why I was telling Spencer and stuff. Going, this feels different because like there's already been these different accomplishments this team has never been able to do, like beat Boise State, once again beat Ohio State. Now you took out Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State all in one season.
Yes. Oh, speaking of which, do you have Adam's email?
I do not, but I can get it.
Okay. Make sure you email him and tell him to reserve those plane tickets for mid-October next year.
For Rutgers.
One from Houston and one from Portland.
All right. The Houston one, that's easy. It's just going to go to Newark.
Yeah, I might have a couple layovers.
Yeah, you're going to have to go like Denver at least and then Newark.
Denver, probably Dallas, and
Denver or Dallas. Out of Portland, not too bad. You might be able to get it nonstop. You'll probably like go to Denver or Dallas or hell, even Houston or Minneapolis or something like that.
I ain't never flown over 3 hours. I'll be shitting myself.
Well, if you have a layover, at least it'll only be like 3 hours and 3 hours. So
yeah,
you'll be all right.
Right?
You'll be all right. Spaz will not cause an emergency landing. All right.
I'm gonna get Adam on the show Sunday.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna, because he's always in chat, and I'm gonna tell him, all right, you better get backstage, sir, because we got to discuss some travel arrangements.
There you go.
Fall.
Hey, I'm down with that. And yeah, he's always more than welcome. We have Army Navy this weekend. We don't have a bowl game this weekend, do we? I think they start Tuesday.
I think they start next week. Yeah.
We have Army Navy this weekend, and then just a look ahead at the playoffs.
We should probably take a week off from the Sunday night show, even.
Negative. Mark won't allow it.
Let Jackson run it.
It's like Mark won't allow it.
He won't allow it because it's his moneymaker.
Damn right. All right.
Speaking of which, I got to send you my Cash App.
Yes, you do.
Did that ever come through?
Not yet. I already checked with that, but we can talk about that after the show.
All right.
All right. Well then, everyone, thank you for joining us. And as always, to Spaz, thank you. Thank you to Spencer for joining us from Locked On Ducks and Locked On College Football, sharing his insight and information. And other than that, I got nothing.
No.
I'm going to go finally eat dinner.
Yeah.
At like 11 p.m. Fantastic.
9 and I'm still munching on mine.
I was in another live stream. I had to cook while I was on the live stream, and then I had to run to this bit. 5 minutes. All right, then. Everyone, once again, thank you for joining. If you haven't, hit that like, subscribe, notifications. Spaz, though, where can people find you online if they want to stalk you?
Right there.
Almost.
Sean Spaz Drag on Twitter.
It is right. It's also in the chat. It was posted by Jackson earlier. And likewise with me, you can just find me down here on YouTube or on Twitter. And then you'll find me and Spaz on the Sunday night show, wasting our life away on the Sunday after the College Football After Dark. Wow, I screwed up that name. How did I do that? I created the show. Jeez. All right. Well,
Pop Tart, play us out.
wrong show.
Dylan Gabriel, play us out. Or is that Vernon Adams still?
No, that's TG. Hey, don't screw this quack. Don't screw it up, quack.